Ref app.
The Ref Sports Radio Network.
Live from the Buffalo Wild Wings studios, it's time to get locked into the best Sooner recruiting and football news with Parker Thune and Grayson Singleton.
You better lock it up. No, you lock it up. You lock it up. Lock it up.
Hit the guys up on the Riverwind Casino call-in line at 405-329-9000 or text the show on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line at 405-651-3439.
Do it! Just do it!
Now, with Locked In, here's Parker Thune and Grayson Singleton.
You know it's August when everybody is taking vacations. Everybody sneaks their vacations in right before football season. Steely's going to be gone all week next week. Grayson Singleton kind of pulled off a coup. Grayson Singleton did something I have never before seen done. In nearly 4 years with this here radio station, he managed to secure himself 3 consecutive long weekends. He took off 2 Fridays ago. He took off last Friday. Now he has taken off this Thursday and Friday, which means in his stead here on the Ref, you get a stallion of the local media scene, perhaps the most musically inclined member of the Oklahoma beat, the great Jake Crittenden of OUinsider.com. Jesse, welcome to the show.
Well, Parker, I appreciate that. Appreciate the kind words. I don't know what I'm competing against from a musical perspective on the beat, but I'll take the compliment, and I'll try my best to fill in for Mr. Singleton. I know I'm no Mr. Singleton, but I'll try my best.
I would say I'm probably number 2 in terms of musical inclination, but you have me outpaced by a pretty substantial margin, I would say.
You play some bass, right?
That is correct.
That's right.
Yeah,
I still need to hear you play some bass.
Yeah, man. There was a time back in my younger years when I could play just about anything on the bass guitar. Then what happened was I went to college and my life got busy, and now I don't play nearly as much as I used to. So, lost a little bit of the dexterity. But still, a very enjoyable pursuit.
No, I know it's a skill for. I know if you picked up a bass right now, it'd be like you never left. I know it would be.
405-651-3439 is the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line. If you'd like to chime in throughout the hour, we'll be talking OU football, fall camp, recruiting. We'll dig into that, obviously, and we will field your texts throughout the hour via the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line. The show, of course, brought to you by Dorsey Jones GMC out in El Reno. Family-owned and operated. They pride themselves on having the best service technicians. They offer half-price oil changes on Saturdays. And, of course, GMC offers some of the finest trucks and SUVs on the market in terms of reliability. So tap in with Dorsey Jones GMC out in El Reno. A 405 listener says, Grayson really sounds white today.
Oh, man.
Chris from Knoxville says, Jesse in the house, let's go. All right, there you go. You got at least one person, Jesse, that is juiced
from
to have a full hour.
Oh, man. Well, I appreciate that, Chris. I'll try my best. But is it going to be, because normally I only do 10-minute, 15-minute segments. By like 2:30, is it going to be like, all right, that's enough.
Yeah, you're going to be tapping
that's
out.
Enough of Jesse.
You'll be wondering, oh, shoot, what else do I have to say? Man, so we are a week through fall camp at the University of Oklahoma. Camp opened up a week ago today. As a matter of fact, last Thursday was practice number 1. No practice today. Brent Venables mentioned that in anticipation of their first scrimmage on Saturday, they are taking a rest day today, at least when it comes to on-field football activities. And we are 23 days away from the season opener when the Sooners will host Illinois State. And I think what's on everybody's mind, Jesse, right now is the injury predicament. And look, we've discussed this a zillion different ways from a zillion different angles. Yeah, there are a lot of guys banged up through the first week of fall camp. Nothing that comes with a particularly long-term prognosis, but still, it's certainly understandable that through a week, when you have this many ailments starting to pile up, nicks, cuts, bumps, and bruises, and the like, given everyone's PTSD after the 2024 season, there are going to be those that are squirming.
No, look, I get it. And for one, it's not even just that last year was the year from hell. So, and not only from an injury standpoint, but obviously you go 6-7 in a year that I really don't think we'll ever see something like that again. But even Parker, think about the spring and coming into fall camp. You're without Giovanni Gibson to start things. He's presumably the top receiver for this group. We still don't really know where things are with Jaden Gibson, so it's not like things were already perfect, right? And then, Parker, we're out at practice yesterday. It's not ideal that we're watching the running backs during individual drills, and it's Javonte Barnes, Torrey Blaylock, and also DeMarco Murray taking some reps because he has to, because there's only 2 live running backs going through drills. So, look, I get it, and it's also not ideal that Caden Helms, who's asserted himself, breaks his hand. It's not ideal that Jaden Ott is not going through, Kendall Dolby. You can go through the list. I get it. But I think you have to treat every year as its own. And as of right now, even with some of these bumps and bruises, I actually think OU is still pretty good from a health standpoint. I think a lot of these are precautionary. I do think in some cases they're holding some guys out because they're learning from how things were a year ago. I think if anything, it's just about getting to the season. It's not about pushing guys potentially past a breaking point during fall camp. They've got to get to the season. I still don't know how to evaluate last year because guys were so hurt last year.
It's virtually impossible to do so. And if you think about where Oklahoma was a year ago at this time, let's just take the offensive line, for example. At this time last year, Branson Hickman was practicing through a knee injury.
Mm-hmm.
Jake Taylor was practicing through a knee injury. Jacob Sexton was practicing through an injury of his own. Michael Tarquin was already banged up.
Mm-hmm.
And so you could see the harbingers pretty early on in fall camp of what could become Garen Hatchett as well. Like Garen Hatchett already had the bicep issue that he wound up getting season-ending surgery on after appearing in just one game for Oklahoma. But you got the sense, even pretty early on in fall camp, that there were some red flags about depth, especially if guys weren't allowed to just take it easy, weren't compelled to just take it easy, rest up, get right, get back to 100%, and kind of turn their focus towards being available for the season, not just being available for fall camp.
Right, exactly. And think about some of those guys that were dealing with injuries last year in fall camp with Gentry Williams and Troy Everett and Jake Taylor and Jacob Sexton, guys that were hurt last year that now we watch fall camp. Those guys are fully healthy. I mean, Gentry Williams is out there leading the cornerback room in a much different place than he was a year ago. And even some of these other guys that are dealing with some bumps or bruises, like Kendall Dolby. Like Kendall Dolby's out there dressed. He's not going through drills, but he's out there dressed. Jaden Ott is jogging off to the side. Caden Helms is jogging on the practice field. All those guys are dressed. OU has certainly not had a situation, like you said, not only guys that are completely, like a ton of important guys missing camp, but also think about Jaden Gibson suffering a season-ending injury a few days before season starts. So, like, I get the anxiety. I get that there are a couple guys dealing with some bumps and bruises that you don't want to be dealing with bumps and bruises. But I think more than anything, until real substantial injuries happen that keep guys off, like you already know it's going to keep them off the field in a long-term capacity, that hasn't happened yet. And until that happens, I think fans can feel a little bit easier than maybe some do right now.
A 405 listener on the text line says, I would rather see a bunch of guys sitting for minor injuries than see them playing dinged up and making things worse.
And that's what we just talked about. I think OU, if anything, you just got to get to the season opener. Even if that means you miss a practice here or there, you've got to get your important guys to the season. I think that's what OU's trying to do right now.
Let's go back to the example of Garen Hatchett from a year ago. It wasn't well known. It was known behind the scenes. It wasn't publicly known that Garen Hatchett was playing at 40% throughout most of fall camp, and then the one game that he appeared in an Oklahoma uniform until he underwent the season-ending surgery. Or I should say until he trotted out there for week one to make the start for Oklahoma at center, and he's got this big old brace on his left arm. And so I think that texture's on the money. You would rather find out, just to pick one example here, you would rather find out week one of fall camp that, Jaden Ott sprained his AC joint in his shoulder than a month down the road, that's compounded into something much more significant, and the word is, Jaden Ott's going to miss 8 to 12 weeks.
Yeah, the worst thing Oklahoma could do right now is say, Jaden Ott's you got an AC joint injury, just play through it. Just push through it in fall camp because you're important. You're too important to this team. We got to get you reps. That's the worst thing OU could do right now, because as much as Javonte Barnes looks good, as much as I think Torrey Blaylock is making the most of his opportunities, Jaden Ott is the running game for this team coming into this season. And I don't think – look, you want – even with someone like Jaden Ott, you want further proof that it's not a good idea to push him when he's injured. Look at last year. His numbers down across the board. When we talked to him at local media day, he said he never felt right last year, and he was still productive in some ways, but he dealt with an injury, played through that injury. Numbers were down across the board. He just wasn't effective. If anything, you'd rather take a minor shoulder injury, take some time to sit, because it's not like he's battling for reps. It's not like you don't know what you're getting from him. He's already proven he can be a good running back. It's just about getting him healthy to the start of the season.
A verified source on the text line says it's called protecting your investment. Everyone CALM down. U.S. Army Sooner adds, in my best Allen Iverson voice, we talking about practice?
Not a game. Not a
practice.
Game. Not the game I go out there and bleed and die for. I love it. I love that that's still around. Good text.
Oh, it'll never die. Sort of like the original 21st century memes, isn't it?
Do kids these days, like middle school, high school, or like is that meme still prevalent with them? Does that still go, like, do people?
I hope so, man. I saw a tweet a while back. Somebody said, back in the day, AI meant Allen Iverson, and I really want to get back there.
And it always will to me, guys. It always will to me.
405-651-3439 is the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line. Man, now that we've been through a week of fall camp, we've been out there to 3 different open practice sessions. How have your feelings changed, or how has your outlook changed on what Oklahoma can be in 2025 after seeing this team with your own 2 eyes?
Yeah, I mean, I think you just see overall more cohesiveness, especially on the offensive side of the ball. I think being out there has made it more apparent just how discombobulated everything was from an offensive standpoint a year ago. And it's not all Jackson Arnold. It's clear that things from an offensive side of the ball, even before the injuries, were just set up to fail. And I think you see, from an offensive standpoint, I think you see the cohesion that Ben Arbuckle and John Mateer have, and how just helpful that is in having an identity for this offense. Like, there's no question about what this team wants to do. There's no question about what Ben Arbuckle and John Mateer want to do. Also, just watching John Mateer in practice and seeing how effortless things are for him, it really is striking. And then defensively, Parker, I think there are still some things to set up or to settle on the offensive line, but the defensive line has really stuck out to me. And then I think that the emergence of some of these second-year guys, Reggie Powers, Devon Jordan, Jeremiah Newcomb, Michael Boganowski, I mean, the difference in size and just overall readiness and how they look on the field is just miles different from a year ago. Also, just a fun observation, David Stone, I think he ran by me at one point during defensive tackle drills, and I was like, if he ran into me, how far could he push me under the ground? If I set the over-under at 4.5 feet, I'm probably taking the over. There are just guys that from a year ago just look completely different than they do now.
Man, that 2024 class for Oklahoma, in the secondary in particular, jackpot, right? Like, Michael Patterson-McDonald has since transferred, but they signed 7 blue-chip defensive backs that cycle, 7 of them. And you mentioned some of the names, guys that came in together, guys that are going to have the opportunity to inherit much larger roles for this team here in year 2. We know Eli Bowen's a certified stud,
right.
But Powers, Boganowski, Newcomb, Jaden Hardy, right? Like, the sheer number of defensive backs that all came in together in the 2024 class, and now here in year 2 are ostensibly getting ready to play major roles for this defense is jarring. Like, I don't know if we give enough credit to Jay Valai and Brandon Hall for their knack for evaluation. Because if you look at the safety room right now and you look at the cornerback room right now, those two rooms relative to the rest of the roster are completely unique in one way, Jesse. There's not a single transfer in either of those two rooms.
That's right.
Not a single one. Every other position group on the roster has at least one transfer. And I think actually offhand, every single position group has multiple transfers. Not so at cornerback and at safety. All of those guys have been handpicked out of the high school ranks by Hall and Valai, and they've been developed.
Yeah, and I think you see that. Even talking to Reggie Powers, which I'll have a story on him later, hopefully tomorrow or this week on an OU Insider. Even talking with him, I think you get the sense from some of these second-year guys in that secondary that I think they – I even had Reggie Powers, high school defensive coordinator, said to me, he's got a traditional mindset in a modern athlete. Like he's almost like he's got that conservative mentality of like staying and earning your reps, knowing that your time is going to come. And I think all these guys, Reggie Powers, Devon Jordan, Jeremiah Newcomb, Michael Boganowski, I think they've known there wasn't that pressure to play in year one. I think a lot of those guys knew year one, you're learning from Billy Bowman and Robert Spears Jennings and Woody Washington and some of these other veterans. That's what year one is about. And now year two, I think a lot of those guys sense not only that the playing time is there, but I think just the growth of being in this defense, being with the same position coach, being in Brent Venable's scheme. I think that's it's not even just a physicality difference. I think it's a mentality difference. You see things slowing down. I think that's an underrated part of college football these days is when you have those guys that came in together recognizing year one may not be the year for me, but year two can, and just all the continuity that comes with that.
If you're just tuning in and wondering, who is this other white dude on the radio with Thune? Well, you're used to hearing him over the phone on Mondays. Every single Monday, as a matter of fact, during the 1 o'clock hour with me and Steely. It is Jesse Crittenden, who's in the studio for Grayson Singleton today here on Locked In. 405-651-3439, of course, is the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line. Keep filling it up. There is much more OU football and crootin talk on the other side. You're listening to The Ref, the home of Sooner fans. Keep it right here.
Get in the know when it comes to everything OU and SEC. Every late morning from 9 to noon with SEC lead anchor Dari Noka. It's the Dari Noka Show with Dari and Josh Helmer on the home of Sooner fans, the Ref Radio Sports Network.
Now that open enrollment for healthcare coverage has ended, there's still several options to consider that just might benefit you. Need to purchase your own health insurance? Confused about Medicare? Considering offering benefits to your employees? Call the agents at Allison Insurance, featuring 70-plus years of combined insurance business experience. They're able to help clients avoid mistakes when purchasing individual or group health insurance. Call Allison Insurance at 800-580-5587 or 745-2968. They are the experts.
Back to school means back to your favorite casino.
And Riverwind jackpots are back in session. Win with a spin on all your favorite electronic games.
Take your hand to the next level in our premier poker room.
Keep the good times rolling every Friday in August with your wild card.
And play for your share of the $200,000 Under Neon birthday giveaway.
And celebrate 19 years with the best food, drinks, and service in the metro.
Only at Riverwind Casino.
Say good morning with the Little Heats. El Huevo and Norman is serving Tex-Mex inspired breakfast and brunch every day until 2. Tacos, huevos rancheros, spicy skillets, and more, plus a full bar to start your day bold.
El Huevo off of Tecumseh Road, where every morning feels like a fiesta. El Huevo, breakfast with a kick. Tune in every Friday to hear more about the Hal Smith Restaurant Group during The Rush and the Dari Noka Show here on The Ref.
Football is almost back, and nobody will have you prepped for the SEC ride in 2025 quite like the home of Sooner fans. With the Ref's SEC Team Takeover, brought to you by lender CDJR. Drop the dog days of summer monotony with 3 straight weeks of the Ref's SEC Team Takeover from July 21st through August 8th as we give a full-day analysis on every conference rival in the Sooners' new frontier of the Southeast Conference. With the Ref's SEC Team Takeover, brought to you by lender CDJR. When you choose Landers Chrysler Jeep Dodge and Ram of Norman, you're not just getting a great vehicle, you're supporting a dealership that cares about the community. Landers CDJR, where community and commitment drive us forward. That's the Refs SEC Team Takeover. The Ref, the home of Sooner fans, and you're home to be SEC ready.
The Ref Sports Radio Network.
Built for success? How about Built by Law? Law Custom Homes and Construction is here to build your next home. With over 30 years of experience, Barry and Angela Law pride themselves on building the best quality homes in Norman. Locally owned and operated, Law Custom Homes and Construction can also help you with carpet, tile, siding, windows, granite, and roofing. Don't wait. Call Barry Law at 405-919-7118 and let Law Custom Homes build your next quality home. That's 405-919-7118.
To some, the sound of a baby babbling doesn't mean much, but that's not true. They're testing out vowels and consonants and trying different sounds. And by 12 months, their babbling is beginning to take on meaning, especially if there's no babbling at all. Little to no babbling by 12 months or later is just one of the possible signs of autism in children. Learn more at autismspeaks.org.
My mom is a veteran and she was injured in the line of duty.
I hurt my leg in a training accident when she was only 2 years old.
She had 7 different surgeries over the span of 9 years, and there were tons of complications.
I'm doing much better now. I may have lost my leg, but I've gained so much. I got my joy back.
We got our mom back, thanks to DAV.
Every year, DAV helps more than 1 million veterans like Sandy get the health and disability benefits they've earned.
My victory is getting my life back.
Support more victories for veterans. Go to DAV.org.
Breaking news brought to you by the Van Hoos Fence Company. For commercial and residential fencing needs, Van Hoos can help you from wooden to chain link to aluminum and more. No job is too big or too small. Call Van Hoos Fence, 405-735-1167, or visit vhfence.com. The Sooners have their first commit of the 2027 cycle as offensive tackle Luke Wilson out of Southlake Carroll High School down in Texas just announced his pledge to the Sooners moments ago. Kind of came out of nowhere here. But this was a kid that was on record stating Oklahoma was my number one as soon as they offered, so the Sooners had been in strong position here. Still a little bit surprising that a decision came this early in the process for a very talented prospect in the 2027 cycle who already has and no doubt will have by the end of the process a ton of very enticing options on the table. But there you go, Jesse. The Sooners are on the board in the 2027 class with the addition of Luke Wilson.
They're on the board. First thing that has jumped out is just his size, listed at 6'6", 250. Already comes in with good size. You know, once he gets into the program, they'll only add to that. And Parker, I gotta say, I seem to recall seeing Luke Wilson in some movies, some of my favorite comedy movies growing up. So OU's getting a real versatile guy here, but star screen and on the field.
Yeah, you can do a little bit of everything, huh? There you go. Now, Oklahoma had held a 2027 commit before because four-star defensive end Zane Rowe had been committed from April of 2024 up until January of 2025. But since he backed off his commitment earlier this year, the Sooners had been bone dry and empty in the 2027 class. No longer. Luke Wilson is on board as the first commit of the cycle. And you'd figure, Jesse, that this helps set the table for what could be a very pivotal few months for Oklahoma as they start to build out the nucleus of their 2027 class. Well, not could be. It's going to be a very pivotal few months. What happens on the field could go a long way towards determining what that nucleus looks like, because it feels like everybody, to a certain extent, is just waiting to see whether things will stabilize for this staff and for this program in 2025. If they win games and they prove that with Ben Arbuckle and John Mateer in the mix that they are capable of contending at the highest level in the SEC, so be it. I think at that point everything kind of normalizes with regard to recruiting efforts and more. Now, obviously, if they don't win, then you're looking at what could be an offseason of sweeping change and probably a lot slower of a start on the recruiting trail in the 27 cycle.
Yeah, absolutely. That's been the whole thing with both the 26 class, the 27 class, is at some point you can do all of the pitching and all the salesmanship to some of these recruits, but at some point it's going to be about getting wins on the field, and it doesn't help your case if you go 6-7 2 of the last 3 years and you head into a season like this that's not only so pivotal but could have a result of there being sweeping change, as you mentioned. Now, I'm not predicting that's going to happen or saying that will happen with any certainty, but that's just on the table in a way that it wasn't last year or the year before. But at the same time, that makes me think of two things. One, sometimes you just need to get the process started, and to get an offensive line recruit like this kind of out of nowhere, it's got to start somewhere. Momentum is a real thing in recruiting, as I'm sure as I know you know, Parker. So sometimes it's just about getting the ball rolling. But the other thing, Parker, that I'm really curious about in terms of both the 26 and the 27 classes, what effect does that Michigan game have in week 2? Just in terms of that's a game at home against a Power 4 program, both programs going into that game really needing to win and to try to prove that last year was not the standard moving forward. I wonder, Parker, if we see momentum, if this is either the start of something or if that Michigan game, if OU can win that game at home, if that generates some momentum too.
I mean, you got to have guys like this that are willing to jump on board early. I mean, you got to have guys that are willing to put themselves out there as the faces of the class, the cornerstones of the class. Elijah Thomas was one of those guys for Oklahoma in the 25 cycle, committed very, very early on. He was, to my recollection, the second commit of the cycle behind only Kevin Sperry, who obviously didn't wind up sticking with the Sooners. But Elijah Thomas was a guy that was pretty much all in with OU from the jump. And if you have a guy like this in Luke Wilson, no doubt the hope would be that he's going to be active in helping recruit his peers, that he'll certainly be in town for that Michigan game on September 6th. Because, look, man, the amount of 2027 prospects that have already made plans to be in Norman that evening, it's astonishing. It could wind up being the largest evening of visitors, game day visitors, that I have ever witnessed at the University of Oklahoma. And I haven't been around forever. There are those that have been around longer than me. But that's going to be a major, major recruiting event.
It's a big reason why myself, and I know you've talked about it and others have talked about, why that Michigan game might end up being maybe the most important game of the entire season, which is a crazy thing to say about a week 2 game, about a non-SEC game. But, Parker, it's not only just about trying to really prove that you've bounced back from a season ago. It's not only just about proving you can win at home against Power 4 teams, but it's also because of that recruiting possibility. You mentioned, I mean, there might be more recruits at that game than any other game that Oklahoma hosts this season. You win that game, you set so much momentum into motion, both from a program standpoint, from a recruiting standpoint, and all kinds of things generate from there. If you lose that game at home in front of these recruits, and you have that kind of related to how bad last year was. I'm not saying it's like you can't recover from that, but it just sets a horrible tone, both for the season and both in trying to recruit and round out the 2027 class. I think it's a reason why I would feel pretty confident saying that from an all-encompassing standpoint, that game is the most important game of the season. And Parker, I've said it before, if you want to prove you can win, you want to play big boy football and win big boy games, that's the game you win at home against a team like that.
5-star gunny of Stutzman Army of you, Jesse Crittenden, says, this guy sounds sneaky athletic.
Real first one in, last one out type of guy is how I like to describe myself, Parker.
713 listener down there in Texas says, really enjoy the show and messages. Even get some good information once in a while. Keep up the good work. 918 listener says, Parker, Jesse, have y'all got to watch Michael Hawkins? If so, how's he grasping the offense? Michael Hawkins has looked sharp. Everything looks crisper for him than it did a year ago. There's a level of polish that wasn't quite like he's always been a phenomenal athlete. He's always had a very quick release. There are things that have always stood out about Michael Hawkins' game, but I think it's evident that there's been a jump in so many different ways for him, Jesse. And look, there's no quarterback controversy this year. It's John Mateer's team, and everyone knows that. But if worst comes to worst, and knock on wood, John Mateer has to miss any time whatsoever, I think there's going to be a lot of faith in Michael Hawkins trotting out there to take the snaps for the Sooners.
Yeah, look, Michael Hawkins wasn't ready to be the full-time guy last year. And not only, number one, is that okay, that's okay. He's a true freshman playing in the SEC. But two, I think he still did enough last year, both to still have confidence in him from a fan perspective, to have belief that he can be a guy. But also, that was a year ago. And I think as much as it's great to bring in John Mateer and Ben Arbuckle and reorient and retool your offense around those guys, I actually think it's had a positive impact on Michael Hawkins. I think you see that in practice. Even like last year, obviously the stage was set for Jackson Arnold, and that went horribly, horribly wrong. But like even as much as things were the table was set for Jackson Arnold, this is a totally different situation to go out into the portal, pay major dollars to get John Mateer, to get his offensive coordinator. Like that's your offense. These are your guys. There are no whiffs of anything happening. And so for Michael Hawkins, these last few months have been about learning from last year, getting comfortable in this system. He knows it's another year of learning and another year of growth. And Parker, we were at practice yesterday. I liked seeing some of those quarterback drills. You still see, I mean, of course, you still see the athleticism. You see his ability to scramble, get outside the pocket in some of these individual drills. I think if anything, I think Michael Hawkins in some ways has benefited a lot from the retooling of this offense and having another few months to kind of reorient, learn from last year, and sit behind John Mateer.
Two superlatives that I think are pretty obvious looking at Michael Hawkins relative to the rest of the quarterbacks in the room. I think he's got the most natural arm talent.
I would agree.
Compared to Mateer, compared to Neubauer, compared to Jet New, I think Michael Hawkins has the most natural arm talent. It may not be close. And John Mateer has a great arm. Don't get me wrong. Mm-hmm. Michael Hawkins, in terms of arm talent, and again, we're talking about arm talent here. That is but one facet of what it takes to be a successful quarterback. But he has a rocket launcher attached to his shoulder. And he also has the quickest release, Jesse. That's kind of always been, as I touched on a moment ago, that's kind of always been a hallmark of his game, is just the ability to get the ball out quick. And he, like Mateer, is a guy that doesn't throw with the laces. That's something that's becoming more of a trend in modern quarterback play, is guys are relying less on anchoring their fingers on the laces to be able to throw the ball. Guys, as they've navigated their development and training processes growing up, really what the shift that you've seen is you've seen trainers, you've seen coaches, you've seen folks with influence in that realm trying to get young quarterbacks away from using the laces, because if you have to fumble around and try to get your fingers on the laces, that can cost you time, and time is something of which you have precious little of when you're on the football field making decisions in a split second as to where you go with the football, and when the football gets there matters significantly. Jesse.
No, it does. It absolutely does. And I think that's the thing. That's been the thing with Michael Hawkins, is you see the clear talent there. Just from a pure talent standpoint, not only all the things you said about arm strength, getting the ball out quick, obviously his athleticism to take, to take the ball and run, scramble outside the pocket. Those are all those things. Where he went wrong last year is it's just those things haven't been molded. Those things haven't been developed to all come together and to be a complete quarterback. And Parker, one of the things is that's why it's even hard to evaluate him last year. Not only just the whole team, but him specifically, because not only was he thrust into action, but OU didn't have the system they have in place now to specifically work with quarterbacks. Now you've got a couple of guys in that room that are specifically not only there to train your quarterbacks, but they have experience training, developing quarterbacks. So I think he's a guy that the talent has always been there. The athleticism has always been there. It's about giving him time, developing him, letting him grow, and put all those things together. And that's why, again, I think he's benefited from the last few months and all these changes, because now I think he has more time, less pressure to put all those things together.
Sooner Smitty asks, is there a QB2 battle at OU, or is Michael Hawkins locked in? Yeah, there's no battle.
No battle.
I mean, it's John Mateer, QB1, Michael Hawkins, QB2. There's a battle for QB3 between Whit Neubauer and Jet New. And to me, those guys look like they're about on equal footing right now. So for what that matters, again, I'm not really sure how many people care who's QB3 versus who's QB4 at Oklahoma in the year 2025, but that's about as much of a battle as there is in the QB room. Circling back, a 580 listener asks, is it true that OU got a commitment from 2027 offensive tackle Luke Wilson? Yes, that is true. He announced moments ago on social media he becomes the first 2027 commit of the cycle for the Sooners. Big win. Huge win for the Sooners down there in the DFW Metroplex. And Carroll is a school that they have not been into very frequently in years past. That's Quinn Ewer's alma mater. He's perhaps the most notable recent alumnus of that program. The Sooners have one Carroll Dragon on the roster right now in Jacob Jordan, the wide receiver. But I do believe that's it. And offhand, I think you have to go back to Robert Barnes in the class of 2017 for the last Carroll Dragon that Oklahoma rostered, at least on scholarship. And you know what? Actually, I'm rethinking this in real time, because Preston Mickens, the walk-on defensive back, I believe he's a Carroll alumnus too. So there may be two Carroll Dragons on OU's roster right now. But yes, Luke Wilson is on board. A 405 listener asks, does he have a brother named Owen? Not to my knowledge, although that would be cool. That would be cool. But just Luke. And he's the first commit of the 27 cycle for the Sooners. And for Bill Bedenbaugh, look at Bill bringing home those early recruiting victories. And it tends to be the case, not always, Jesse, but some of the guys that commit early to Bill Bedenbaugh and that believe in Bill Bedenbaugh from the jump, part of the reason they commit early and believe in him early is because they know what they are capable of as individuals, and they know what Bill can do to help them get to where they want to go. Think about some recent early commits for Oklahoma on the offensive line. A guy that immediately springs to mind, Ryan Foje, who looks to have a pretty solid shot of cracking the two deep for Oklahoma as a true freshman. One segment to go here on Locked In. Keep hitting us up on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line at 405-651-3439. Parker Thune alongside Jesse Crittenden. More to come here on The Ref, the home of Sooner fans.
The word is spreading, and the Ref Army is growing. Keep telling your friends and family that there's only one station for true Sooner fans, and that's the Ref Radio Sports Network, and worldwide on the KREF app.
Norman Chamber of Commerce, Visit Norman, and the City of Norman encourage you to shop local this summer. Find good eats right here like Bad Daddy's Burger Bar. They've got delicious burgers, giant salads, and a front row seat to the next big game. Make sure to get the Young Family Athletic Center on your kids' summer schedule. Court rentals are always available to reserve in advance. Plus, camps, clinics, and leagues are going on now, and it's not too late to sign up. Get your gear ready for the season with Bamboa Apparel. Custom hats, polos, tees, and jackets embroidered just for your team at Bamboa Apparel. Visit Sooner Bowling Center this summer, featuring 24 lanes, a newly remodeled arcade, and the Spare Time Grill. Plus, check out summer camps at SoonerBowl.com. When you eat, shop, and play local, you help the Norman community thrive.
Do you like to stand out in a crowd while wearing the best in OU apparel? The Jimmy Austin Pro Shop carries the best brands you can wear to work or even dress up events. Lines such as Lululemon, Travis Matthew, FootJoy, Greg Norman, Grayson, or Turtleson with the OU and Jimmy Austin logo are sure to catch everyone's eye. You don't have to be a golfer to shop at Jimmy Austin. They also do corporate special orders for you and your company. Call them today, 405-325-6716, or visit theougolfclub.com for more information.
I'm your football-obsessed best man. Physically, I'm right here. But mentally, I'm here. Yeah, I do. Come on, speed it up. When all eyes are on you, my eyes are glued to the game. Whoa! Touchdown, yeah! And if you didn't bundle your home and auto insurance, well, all of this could be tough to tackle. So get Allstate and be better protected from mayhem. Like me.
Call Josh Nelson, Allstate Insurance Agency, 405-360-9500 to be protected from mayhem.
I'm Gina Mitchell of Mitchell's Jewelry. We take our tagline, where Oklahoma gets engaged, to heart. Engagement rings, so many different styles and price ranges. We even have rings that are ready for a proposal this weekend. However, if a custom, one-of-a-kind design is your style, that's our specialty. Natural diamonds, lab-grown diamonds, or colored gems. Let us create her dream ring. Stay in the loop with us on our socials or at mitchells-jewelry.com, or come see us at 2201 West Main in Norman.
At Armstrong Bank, your business isn't just business to us, it's personal. Our bankers are invested in your success, and we're ready to build a relationship that lasts. You deserve a strong financial partner by your side. Together, we can help make your business even stronger with products and services designed for your convenience. To learn more, visit a location near you or visit armstrong.bank. Armstrong Bank. Strength runs in our family. Member FDIC.
Aging well means staying healthy, active, and independent. To age well, we need to take care of our bones. 10 million Americans have osteoporosis, a hereditary disease that makes bones weak and more likely to break. Thankfully, we can all take simple steps to improve our bone health at any age. Eat a healthy diet that is rich in calcium and vitamin D. Get regular weight-bearing exercise, which means on our feet. Get bone health tips at pathtogoodbonehealth.org.
Being blind doesn't always look how others may think.
Retinitis pigmentosa aimed to overwhelm my family.
It tried to cut me down. I know where to find support and where I can be seen.
Innovative research, educational resources, supportive community. The Foundation Fighting Blindness is leading the charge on treatments and cures for blinding diseases. Donate today at fightingblindness.org. A public service message from the Foundation Fighting Blindness.
Final segment of Locked In here on a Thursday. Parker Thune alongside Jesse Crittenden, who is in for Grayson Singleton today. Grayson decided to take another long weekend on us. So he's out today, he's out tomorrow, he's out till Monday. But Jesse is in the saddle in his stead. Been a good show so far. Heck, apparently Jesse is something of a good luck charm because we got a commitment while on air. Oklahoma picked up its first pledge of the 2027 cycle. We talked about it last segment, but for those just tuning in, offensive tackle Luke Wilson out of Southlake Carroll High School down in the DFW Metroplex has become the first pledge of the 2027 cycle for the Sooners. Again, not the most shocking as far as who it is, because Wilson was a guy that had stated Oklahoma was his number one, but the timing, I mean, this early in the process, especially for a team, Jesse, that has so much to prove in 2025. Again, you go back to it, like you got to have guys like that. You got to have guys like Elijah Thomas, for instance, going back a few cycles, or guys like Jackson Arnold. I know that's a little bit of a blast from the past at this point, but you know, Jackson Arnold stuck with Oklahoma through some lean times in the 2022 calendar year when they were struggling to a 6-7 record down the stretch in Brent Venables' first year at the helm. You got to have guys that are just ride or die for the program through thick and thin, and based on the timing of this commitment from Luke Wilson, you would infer that that is the case for a guy like this.
Yeah, absolutely, and again, as we talked about last segment, I think momentum is certainly a real thing when it comes to recruiting, and when you get a guy like this that's committing, and it's not coming off the heels of an incredible season for Oklahoma, then yeah, you know that he's in this, that he is firmly committed to this program. He knows He likes what he sees. He knows how he can fit in there. He wants to be at the University of Oklahoma. And I think, again, you're hoping if you're OU to capitalize on this type of momentum. So you get a guy like this. You're hoping he's a guy that not only will stick around, which I think he will be, but also can maybe get other guys into the fold that maybe you can kind of assemble a class around a guy like this. And again, now if you're OU, you're just hoping to capitalize on that momentum. And again, that all starts on the field, so OU, these first 3-4 weeks of the year, really the Michigan and Auburn games, the fact that those two games both come at home in the first month of the year, with a recruit like this, now you've got these two games coming up in a few weeks. This is a perfect opportunity to build some momentum.
By the way, another bit of recruiting news, not directly pertinent to Oklahoma, but of note to many who listen to this show. The number 1 overall prospect in the 2027 class, 5-star defensive end LaDamian Guyton out of the state of Georgia, has committed to, wait for it, Texas Tech. Texas Tech has gone into the state of Georgia and picked up a commitment from the number 1 overall player in the entire 2027 cycle. And you kind of know what this one's about, right, Jesse? I mean, this is the signal. If you needed any signal beyond what we've already seen, this is a signal that Texas Tech is here to swing with the big boys. And they would like to buy a championship. And in fact, they would like to be the program that proves buying a championship is feasible in modern college football, because that's the allure for Tech right now. Right? Elite dudes aren't flocking out to Lubbock, Texas just because it's Lubbock, Texas. LaDonna from Lubbock, if you're listening, you can attest to this, right? Texas Tech has very deep pockets. We all know this. We all understand this. It's part of the reason why Tech is right there neck and neck with Oklahoma in the recruitment of the top target for the Sooners within state lines in the 2027 class, Cooper Hackett, the offensive tackle out of Fort Gibson. Tech is willing to fight the big money battles, and they won a big money battle today with the addition of Guyton.
Look, I mean, we've seen it in obviously they're different sports, but we've seen what Texas Tech has done in softball since last season ended, right? I mean, they went and got the best transfer portal class of anybody in the country, and they went and paid big money for all of the recruits they got. They're doing that in football as well. Parker, it makes me think we've seen some programs kind of, even as college football has advanced and you get into this transfer portal NIL era, you've seen programs still try to stick on their laurels and promote, continuity and wanting to be at the university for that university, be a part of that coaching staff. This is maybe the first time we've seen a program swing the complete opposite way. Continuity be damned. Being attracted to the university be damned. It's about, can we get the most amount of talent regardless of fit, regardless of personality, ego, anything else? Can we get the most amount of talent in the room, and hopefully that sorts itself out? That's what Texas Tech is doing, and now we'll see if that experiment works.
Glenn from Nashville says the Fed will have to print more money for there to be enough money for Texas Tech to ever buy a national championship in football. It will not happen, but it's always fun to watch a fool and his money departed. Greg in Muskogee says Texas Tech needs to take a long look at what happened to Texas A&M a few years ago. How many of those guys panned out? Yeah, very few. It's a cautionary tale. But if you got the money to spend, why not spend it? And Tech certainly has the money to spend. Cody from the Northeast Corner asks, how long was Arnold's longest completed pass last season? I don't know. I guess I did name drop Jackson Arnold earlier in the segment, so that's why this got brought up. But he did complete, a 92-yard pass, 93-yard, something like that to J.J. Hester in the main game?
That's right.
It was a crap ton of yards.
That's right. And that would have he averaged, so just for reference, he averaged 140 passing yards per game last year. Or, 142 passing yards per game.
Not very nice.
Not very nice. He averaged 9 yards per completion, which, again, I think was in the bottom 10 of Power 4 quarterbacks last year. So that pass was so memorable because it was one of the very few long passing plays that OU completed last year.
I would be curious to know, and I don't know the answer offhand, what was the longest play for Oklahoma outside of that one in the passing game?
I think it would have been Michael Hawkins, right, in the Auburn game.
Yeah, was it J.J. Hester
It was
on the
Hester
receiving end of
again.
that one,
It was
too?
J.J. Hester.
J.J. Hester had almost half his receiving yards for the season between those two plays right there. The catch from Jackson Arnold in the main game, the catch from Michael Hawkins in the Auburn game.
I'm trying to think, but OU ranked near the bottom in so many statistical categories last year. Just for fun, I believe Oklahoma last year, they ranked 131st in passing plays of 20 yards or more. They had 20.
How many FBS teams are there, Jesse?
There were 2 teams behind them, if that answers your question. Iowa and Michigan. There are 134 teams in the Power 4, in Division I last year. OU was better than 2 programs in terms of passing plays of 20 yards or more.
Woof. Colin Claremore says, remember in 2017 and 18, OU averaging 9.8 yards per play? Oh, how times have changed. And I'll say this, Jesse, I'm not trying to get people drinking the Kool-Aid yet, because I think most everybody that is rational about Oklahoma football will concede that we're going to have to see it with our own 2 eyes before we believe the majority of it, at least. But one thing you never heard last fall camp, offense had a great day today on the practice field. Offense has been pretty strong thus far through the first week of camp. And in fact, on numerous occasions has gotten the better of the defense over the course of the day. I'm going to toss you an interesting question.
Let me hear it.
I'm curious to know which direction you're going to go with this. You may actually align with me on this one, but I think my answer is going to surprise some folks. Who do you think is the Sooners' leading receiver in 2025?
Assuming health. And actually, I can't assume health. I think I'm going to factor some concerns about health into this. I actually think it's going to be Isaiah Sategna.
There we go, baby! Ding, ding, ding! That's my answer too.
I've been pounding the bell, and again, I'm not trying to drink the Kool-Aid. I'm not trying to sell anybody on anything. Isaiah's season last year at Arkansas is really underrated. Really underrated. He caught nearly 40 passes for an Arkansas team that was not only horrible offensively, not OU bad offensively, but bad offensively, but also super, super run heavy. And he was also a guy, Parker, he had 6 catches of 20 yards or more last season. I think it was actually a play against Ole Miss last year. His best play came, I think it was a 54-yard reception where he had to just go get a jump ball for a touchdown. In terms of just consistency, in terms of just solid production, a guy that can be a safety blanket from 0 to 10 yards, he can do some intermediate routes, he can go down the field. And he's also the only guy in that room, Parker, that has actually proven anything on an SEC field. Actually, compared to literally everybody else in that OU receiver room, he's the only guy that has any kind of proven production. I actually think it's going to be him because I don't know if he's going to have a bunch of 50-yard catches. I don't think he's going to have a bunch of 10-yard or 10-catch games. But I think game in, game out, I think we're going to get to the end of the year and he's going to be the most productive, most consistent receiver. I do.
I'm with you all the way. I think the volume is going to be substantial for Isaiah Sategna. And that's part of the reason I would project him as Oklahoma's leading receiver in 2025, just because I think as Oklahoma's primary slot guy, he's going to catch a ton of passes. He's going to eat a ton of targets. Until we get a clear answer as to who Oklahoma's starting tight end is going to be, and also what kind of safety blanket said tight end is capable of being for John Mateer, the safety blanket's going to be the slot receiver.
Mm-hmm.
In 2023, when Oklahoma got very little production from the tight end position and from Austin Stogner, it was Drake Stoops that was Dylan Gabriel's go-to guy in gotta-have-it situations. Got to move the chains. First guy he's looking to is Drake Stoops over the middle. And so Sategna, and no knock on Drake Stoops. He's one of the most beloved Sooners of the 21st century, but Sategna's got a little bit more juice than Drake Stoops did. Sategna, in terms of elusiveness, just straight line speed, Sategna is a guy that's going to be more difficult for defenses to keep tabs on than Drake Stoops, who, again, was a really slippery guy in his own right, but Sategna is a souped-up version in my mind, of what Drake Stoops was for Oklahoma in 2023.
Well, it's funny you mentioned Drake Stoops because we were actually talking about him coming home from SEC Media Days a couple of weeks ago. It still boggles my mind that Drake Stoops caught almost 90 passes in 2023, which is a testament to just how good he was. But yeah, man, and I think when you factor in just his overall skill set, Satania's skill set, just what he can do in different areas of the field. And yeah, I think specifically his ability in the slot. I think just consistency in terms of building rapport with John Mateer since the spring, during the summer, his availability is a big part of that. And then, yeah, I think especially when you compare last year, just the lack of offensive identity, there's a clear offensive identity here. And I think Satania, when you look at what Ben Arbuckle and John Mateer wanted to do at Washington State last year, what they were able to do pretty well for the most part. Satania fits very cleanly, very clearly into that. He's the guy that everybody has counted on to be consistent. He'll be that guy.
You drinking the Keontae Lewis Kool-Aid?
I think the stuff in fall camp is real, but I still got to see it on the field. Still got to see it on the field.
Understandable for a guy that's coming to Oklahoma by way of Southern Illinois. But he's been impressive so far and has earned a lot of trust from that coaching staff. Jesse, thanks for riding along today. It was a fun hour.
Happy to be here. It was a fun hour. Happy to be here.
That is Jesse Crittenden. I am Parker Thune. We are done here on Locked In. We're going to turn it over to Tyler McComas and Teddy Lehman on the other side. The Rush is kicking off next. We'll see you tomorrow. Same time, same place. Keep it here on The Ref.
Football. You love it. We love it. You live it.